Italia!
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry, a bit of a technical issue. John, can you see me?
I cannot see you, Hasni. I don't know if anyone can see anyone. Oh,
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
Well,
We're here.
sorry.
Yay.
The overlay. Forgot to take off the overlay. Yeah, good
Ah,
morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Milanistas 360. So with me here, my co-host from all the way across on the other side of the world, Lab Gorilla. How you doing?
good. Thanks, Hasni. Been a very interesting week. A few things to talk about. A lot of news from the club this week about things that have been progressing. So maybe we'll chat a little bit about that right at the beginning. But yeah, a good week, a heavy week to start with. I won't lie, but um, no, it's looking forward to this match tonight. I think it could be a good one. What about you?
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to it. I mean, you could say it's been a few days without football, right? Just because we don't have the international competitions, or I get for those who didn't watch the Asia Cup, there will actually be another competition to fill up this midweek space. But yeah, it's been a good clean week of no football. Feels a little bit like an international break, but yeah, we welcome our team come back, and hopefully we get the performance and collect the points. Yeah, of which we will talk about quite a bit later. But before that, yeah, John, I think we'll just go straight to our sequence for today. But firstly, before we kick things off, yeah, I just want to thank everyone who's watching with us live, everyone who listens to our podcast on Apple, Spotify. Yeah, we are aware and we truly appreciate it that you guys are actually following us. So, yeah, we just want to ask that if you are watching or listening to us, please give us a rating if it's on Apple Podcast or Spotify. There'll be a ratings bar. If you can just give us a good rating, that would help the channel quite a lot. And for those watching on YouTube, if you can like and subscribe, that would be great. Quite a number of you unsubscribed, which I've checked the data. So we would appreciate it immensely if you could actually just give us the thumbs up as well as the subscribe. You just take a
Nice
moment of
one,
your
Hasni.
time.
Good point there. I also, to back up that about thanking everyone for watching, last week, I think, was our highest views episode. So I want to thank everyone for that. And also, you'll all know, it was a bit of a, what's the word? Emotional episode. Let's say that, right? Fair enough. It was an important topic. It was an emotional episode. So first, I'd like to say thank you to Andon, to Fabio, to Gio, to you, Hasni, and to Shane for having the really important conversation. I thought that we gave it a good amount of time and we talked about a lot of topics around it. Then I also want to reach out and say thank you, in case you're watching, to Nico. I want to say thank you to Colin. I also want to say thank you to Vinny for reaching out and having a private conversation with me about the subject. It was really, I really appreciate you guys, and you're true fans, and I really respect what you guys do. So yeah, thank you all, and we now know, and the fallout from that, individuals were identified. Hasni, you must have seen this in the news. They have been given lifetime bans from Udinese, and we can kind of move on from there. I felt personally that, as things go in terms of how heavily the conversation was taken in Italy, how seriously it was taken, at the very least, at the Milan channels, it was very seriously handled. I would say that. And I hope it means that people are starting to really take notice of the point and that changes will occur. Um, this did come up in one of the questions to Pioli, and I will mention it later on in the transcript for that. Yeah, there's been fallout on that. The other big news of the week, Hasni, just want to ask you, what have you heard about what's happened regarding the stadium, the new
Yeah,
stadium?
I heard they paid a lot of money for, you could say, a wasteland. I thought it was a green area, by the way. Yeah? I thought those
Yeah.
are the reasons why we would face the obstacle because it was a green area. Doesn't look that green in the photo that we have. We're using as a thumbnail.
Yeah, so that's our thumbnail, right? So Pellegatti, one of the big journalists that covers Milan, the big news was that the Redbird board approved purchase of the land and the funds to purchase the land. From his comments, that purchase. Hello, Shane. From
I welcome Shane.
the purchase of the
Ariel.
land was going to cost us 40 million euros. That land is going to be, and I kind of thought, is this related to the fact that we're not buying anybody? Is this part of the reason why? Pellegatti said, I think yesterday or the day before, that he doesn't think Milan are bringing in anyone else. That's the attitude and the expectation he's taking moving forward. And if one player comes up, it'll be a pleasant surprise. So that's the big news. The board has said yes to purchase of the land, which, by the way, I thought that had already been done, because surely if you're going to want to build a stadium, you're going to own the land. No, they've only just got approval from the board. And then the other thing is that, do you remember when we were discussing the stadium episode, we said that it's currently in a bureaucratic stage where there is like a modification that's being voted on? That vote has come through this week, and they've said yes to that modification. We now enter the next phase, which Radio Rossonera say, realistically speaking, is 15 to 18 months. The other question that I've got for both of you now is, you must have heard about who is sniffing around Milan at the moment and why. Anyone?
Yeah, well, let Shane give his opinion since he came late.
Oh,
Drop him in there.
sorry. Yeah. Apologies. So I had a bit of a apartment problem. It's okay now. It's fixed. Okay. So yeah. I believe PIF, Saudi Arabian Investment Fund, are sniffing back around with their unlimited riches and huge amount of potential success that they can give us. So early reports, if we're to believe them, is that PIF want to give Cardinale the 600 million that he needs to pay back Elliott, with the expectation that they will then go on to become the single shareholders within the club. So Elliott will be gone. Redbird will remain for the time being until PIF actually, come on board and take us over completely. So that'll be good. Hello, Nico, as well. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I'm already dreaming of having Mbappe and Haaland up front, because financial fair play won't apply to us, just like it doesn't apply to Man City or PSG. So that's great, and I love to flaunt that in front of Inter when they're playing in Serie B, because they've been demoted due to the same financial fair play regulations that we'll probably break and get away with it. So yeah, exciting times ahead, guys.
Yeah, I want to add something about this takeover. So to me, this takeover is a bit reminiscent of what was happening at the end of the Scudetto winning season, where there were rumors around Investcorp were intensifying. At that time, I had belief that Investcorp would actually be our owners. However, Redbird came out of nowhere, if you ask me, because I had never heard about them. They came out of nowhere and they presented a bid that was ultimately accepted by Elliott. So my thoughts about it is that involvement from these investors in the Middle East, they was already there. In what shape or form, now we're seeing is that there seem to be another group from the Middle East. And I think that ties a lot with the strategy of Middle Eastern funds, is that they are looking to move in a big way into sports. John, you know this quite well, yeah, from golf. But we've seen this with Investcorp, by the way. They have some shares in McLaren for F1. So, and further to that, I mean, everyone knows about what's with Man City and some of the other clubs that we have. So that investment for the Middle East will always be there. But, and I think this is one, you could say, one of the things that I think Jerry is probably good at capitalizing on is that he's not letting up. So he could have gone to another part of the place and probably get either bad deal or get rejected. But he actually went back to an area that was competing with him in a way for ownership of the club. And he found another group of individuals, companies, or funds that are willing to really, reach some terms with him. So I would have to give Jerry some credit, is that he's looking in the right places. Now, what that then sets on is that, and a lot of fans I know expect this, is that when such funds do come over, they're not looking into some sort of a quick flip, short-term play. They're looking at it in a big way. So if it does materialize in terms of this minority leading up to majority stake, to me that makes perfect sense. So it's not going to be like, they're just there to roll over someone's company, because my observation of them and how they approach sports is that they take over in entirety. It's not about them being minority, and it's not about them playing second fiddle to someone. If they're there, they're looking to be the ones that are there, or the ones that are on top. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But in terms of the strategy, as you mentioned, Shane, I don't know if it would actually lead to big name targets. I know I've said it in previous spots that everyone would like a big name signing. You'll look good in the papers, you'll look good in terms of the sales of our merchandise. However, if they do come in, they're also competing with other clubs, other big clubs, other funds from the other region. So, like for example, like if there was to be a competition between Manchester City and the PIF-owned AC Milan, yes, money is important, but you look at where City already is at. They have Pep Guardiola. They already have a role of where they want to go in terms of the direction of the club, and they're already competing on the highest level. For us, I think we're looking at probably the early stages before we get there. But nonetheless, I'm happy. It's something that's great. I mean, John, mirroring things from golf, I mean, this has to be a good step, right?
I mean, anything that potentially brings Maldini back for me is a good step. Someone that comes into the club that wants success and nothing else but success is a good step. And I think I'm really glad that the Italian media has completely dropped this agenda of backing Redbird no matter what they do, and saying that they are going to be the future of the club. They're all openly saying now Redbird are just temporary custodians of the club, and PIF are the most likely people to come in and take over. As you guys both said, yes, all the rumors are minority stakeholders. If you think originally, the idea was for Cardinale to find someone to just take over the Elliott loan, give him the money for no stake in the club. Clearly, these investors have said hell no to that, and Jerry had to make a decision. He had to respond, because the pressure was there on him to come up with an answer for the long-term survival of the club, because he can't afford to build a stadium. Redbird do not have the money to build the stadium. Ultimately, now you've purchased the land. You've got agreement to purchase the land. You've now gone through the first phase. What everyone in Italy is now reporting, and I'm really glad that it literally matches what we presented in our episode about the stadium project. They're literally saying what Redbird are trying to do is to get Milan to a stage where we can sell the project with an approved plan for a stadium. That will be the moment when PIF will be able to purchase the entire club. So that being the case, guys, let's strap on, because we've got the next 15 18 months that they have to get through for that stage. And at least the Elliott loan could be potentially paid for this summer. Could be the Elliott kind of pressure could be removed this summer. And I suspect that even as a minority stakeholder, you still want to see success in the club, right? They won't just want to have I'm going to put 400 millions and accept that you'll just finish third or fourth next season. I think they'll want to push a bit harder than that. So it's all positive for me, guys.
I think.
Sorry, Shane. Just to add one more thing, I'll ask this to you as well, Shane. Do you think Elliot asking for the loan back early is telling Cardinale to speed up his plans? Because before all this talk about the money coming back early, you could argue that Cardinale isn't really in a rush to to spend 40 million or to look for new investors, you could say.
Yeah, vulture funds are going to vulture fund, right? I think it's kind of, he has played that game with the devil, and yeah, obviously, I mean, it'd be amazing if, God forbid, but Cardinale couldn't get, couldn't get, someone to finance the loan. It ended up going back to Elliot. But yeah, I just want to say one thing though, Hosni, before I answer your question. So I think if someone like PIF did come in, it would be huge for Serie A in general. Because it's like you said, Hosni, these guys are coming in, they're extraordinarily disciplined, especially when they can get a project underway, because Man City is a project. It's a project that's been run very well, and they're kind of, you're seeing the fruits of it now, right? Well, you've been seeing the fruits of it consistently for the last, 5, 6, 7 years. So when they do things properly, they really do things properly. But I mean, if you look at it, if it's a Saudi investment fund, then it will be in their best interest to get Serie A broadcast in far more places than it's currently being broadcast now, which means more people watching it, which means, greater broadcasting revenues, which benefits the whole league. And, I mean, Juventus are going to benefit from that. So are Inter, so are Roma, so are Lazio. In terms of us, potentially dominating the league, which that could theoretically happen for a while. That remains to be seen, right? If the project that comes in and Maldini does come back, which I would be delighted to see. Yeah, it could be a serious, this could be a turning point for Serie A. So just getting back to your earlier question about has this kind of sped along Cardinale's, his plan, his time frame? Undoubtedly, yes. But I don't think Cardinale or Redbird are stupid. I think they would have had to kind of factor in this as being a potential risk in the first place. I think what's ironically maybe, instead of just the loan, I think what's kind of sped up their transition to being a happy, we're going to be here for a long term type owner, to we need to basically flip this more quickly. I think it's been a combination of, obviously the loan hasn't helped, but I think it's just been things like the growth decree going, because all of these little bonuses that they would have based Moneyball on, they're no longer there, right? So I mean, if all these little things have been taken away that was a key cornerstone of their project, well, then the project is no longer legitimate or valid, right? Unless they want to try something else. So yeah, I think it's just been a combination of things. I don't think it's just been the loan. I think the loan was a big part of it, yes, but that's my saying it.
No, it's a good point.
Take care, Nico.
It's a good point. Good point, Shane, about the growth decree. I think that's come as a bit of kick in the teeth to everybody, and a bit of a scary moment for the entire league, because now you realize no matter who you buy, you have to pay the wages fully. Frightening. It must be a significant financial outlay, and it might be behind much, much, much smaller transfer windows that are going to be coming up for any club in Italy that's been run in any way sensibly. Yeah, it's just
you could say. Yeah, you could say this is the reason why we went for Terracciano. I mean, I know that Moncada said he's been looking at him for a while, but had that growth decree still been in place the way that it was,
Yeah.
would that deal actually have gotten across the line? Because I know there were other targets. Yeah, we saw other targets as well. They were mentioning all these names being rumored. So if we're linked, then there has to be that ounce of a chance that they could be joining us. But we went for a local talent, so I thought that was great. But just one thing, Shane, is that I agree on the PIF point, and one of the things that I think will not happen, that happened only quite recently, 2 years ago, Serie A could not agree on a broadcast deal for the Middle East. 2 years ago, I was living in Saudi Arabia. I was watching the games on YouTube for free, not on some fake fan channel. I was watching it on the Serie A channel, the official channel. All the games be broadcast for free because the league and its own, I don't know how you call it, ownership or their own management couldn't get a broadcast deal in place for the entire Middle East. How much of a joke is that?
Wow.
But if it's done properly, this sort of things won't happen.
If you have money that you can buy a club the size of Milan, you can basically get it sorted so that you're earning broadcast revenues. I mean, I dare say you'd even fit that in as part of the purchase. You kind of say, well, listen, okay, our plan is to basically get this more widely broadcast and visible for people. So we're doing you a favor by buying a club in your region, your country. So you do us a favor by, working with us, right? I mean, that's easy to do. So yeah, I think it's overall very positive.
Yeah.
Now, if I was Inter, I'd be very concerned, right? Yeah, or if they were buying Inter, I'd be very concerned, right? But the fact that it's probably going to work out well for us, I mean, yeah, I'm happy. What I don't want it to resort to though, is I don't want it to resort to a situation where we're getting in 100 million euro players, right? And they're not working out, right? And we're junking them for 60 because then we're flagrantly, right. Right. So, I don't want it to be a situation where we become so detached from reality that we're having outlays on these players. What I'd much prefer to see is that we buy like young world-class talents at 18, 19 for 60, 70 million once or twice, hope that they work out, and then just keep doing it like that. And you'll always get more experienced players, especially the way that the world has gone now with like free contracts, because when Saudi is in, salaries aren't going to be a problem anymore. So we're not going to be, like we would have had Turam if we had PIF. Whereas now we don't. So like, I mean,
I disagree with you there, Shane. We wouldn't have Turam if we had PIF. We would actually have Mbappe.
No, that's it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, but like, but I don't want us to see us like investing in like, I know I made a joke there about, Haaland or Mbappe. I don't really want to see us going down that direction. I mean, ironically, it wouldn't surprise me if PIF made a statement signing, right, which could be a big time player, right? When they come in, if they come in. But I just don't want this to be that. I want this to be someone that creates world-class players as opposed to just purchasing world-class players.
I mean, I'd argue, looking at the episode we had last week, there's a lot of talent. Moncada's doing a good job. He spots a lot of talent. I mean, if there was one person that I think Milan should keep is Moncada. Everyone else can go. Every single one of them can go. But keep Moncada because he seems to be really a talent spotter of elite level. And I'd be curious.
He's been consistently doing it as well, John.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at it, even from his time in Monaco, like he was the guy, ironically enough, he discovered Mbappe.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got a consistent like track record of success.
Yeah.
Forlani can't even like find a Mach 3 razor in the morning to shave that ridiculous beard. His levels on things.
No, Forlani's still going through Maldini's rubbish looking for notes. That's what he's doing.
Like, where did I put this 35 page? Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as you guys have said it, yeah, it's not just about Moncada, but it's the funnel. Moncada to Abate, if we're talking about the Primavera route. But what is that the funnel looks like? Because we have an example of how the funnel doesn't work. We have, what's his name? Pellegrino, the kid from Argentina. Now I saw the rumors that we're looking to loan him out. I mean, this is a talent that he spotted, a talent that was played. He got injured, and somehow has faded into obscurity. So it's also about the process and the sequence that we decide as a club that, okay, we're going to get this player. We know what is the next 3 or 4 steps that, or the sequence that happens after that. Because we can't just get a player and not know what to do with it, which is Pioli's way. Yeah, he gets players that apparently he has a big say in now.
And we could
but
do
then he
that
doesn't
if
know what
we
to do
get
with them.
Biff. Because you just do what Chelsea used to do. You buy like 10 football teams worth of players and then you loan out 90% of them.
Oh God, Chelsea's a disaster. Chelsea's no example to anyone. Shane.
No, I tell you, they were doing okay under Abramovich.
Oh, under
I mean,
Abramovich.
it was,
It's frightening.
yeah, not
Yeah.
now. Now they're a disaster. But like under Abramovich, I mean, it was crazy. How many players did they
Oh,
have? Like 30 players out on
yeah.
loan at one point.
Most of Europe belonged
Yeah.
to Chelsea,
Yep.
literally. So Milan are in talks with Anderlecht about Pellegrino.
Yeah. Well, why does that need to happen? Because these are supposed to be the players, talent that's supposed to be developed within our own club. What happened to the kid? I really want to know what happened to the kid. What's going to happen to Lazetic? Lazetic is, by the way, still technically our player, isn't he? I don't think he's been bought by anyone. So what's going to happen to all these kids? It seems to be like there's a small graveyard that's developing behind the squad.
But
I
you
know
what
that
the
not
thing
everyone
is
will
as
make the
well?
cut, but we don't need to destroy kids like this.
But you know what I don't like as well about these loans to teams like Anderlecht and stuff like that, right? Origi you can understand because it's literally you just have it. You have to give Origi to like whatever team is stupid enough to take Origi, right? But like when it's a young kids though like that, right? Surely they're better off just staying in Italy because they're going to have to be learning the tactical game at some point, especially in defence. So like there should be this unwritten rule where it's like fair enough if you want to loan them out, it can only be to Italian teams. It just makes so much sense. Like what knowledge is he going to get with Anderlecht? I mean, are they even in the Champions League? I don't think so. I think are they in the Europa? I can't see him lining up for them in the Europa. It just makes no sense. So like he's not going to be playing quality football either in the league if he plays. So just send him even if it's Serie B. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, surely that would be better than sending him to a club where he probably won't play in a foreign league that's probably not going to benefit him at all. I don't see the logic here.
And then there's Luca Romero.
I'm going to
Like,
disagree a little bit with you, Shane. So what I had said this in the past is that I would rather these kids actually be loaned not to a top 5 league, but to, you could say, the second tier European leagues, so they can get consistent minutes. The issue that I see, if we were to approach any Italian teams, that they would know that they're developing a player for a rival. So they, like what's happening to Daniele Maldini. I don't think Daniele Maldini is a bad player, by the way, but because he is somehow in our ownership, they're thinking like, why bother, right? Might as well I develop a player that I can sell for and make some money out of it, rather than I'm essentially giving the advantages to a team that I'm going to be competing against. And that same argument will be against the top 5 leagues because we'll see them in the Champions League. It's not like how we were treated in the past. Diego Dalot, Brahim Diaz. I mean, how the hell did these players on loan from these clubs start and take the places of our players that deserve game time?
That's
And then
Pioli.
what do they do after the end of the season? They go back and I mean, good for them. They perform, but it's really no long-term benefit to us.
But you know what I didn't like though, just on the subject of loan players, because you mentioned Brahim Diaz there. What I don't like as well is like we haven't learned like from our mistakes, especially the ones that we made with Brahim Diaz, right? So he's gone back now, and fair juice to Brahim Diaz, he's actually doing quite well in the Primera. Like, I mean, credit to him, right? Like, I mean, to be playing that well, and like in Real Madrid, I mean, I don't think any of us seen it coming.
Look, I saw it coming. Look at the manager. I mean, if Pioli was the manager of Real Madrid, it would be a different result. Trust me.
That's it. See Krunic lining up, man. Back in, get in there. But we haven't learned this. We haven't learned the lesson from Real, I don't think, because when you look at the layout of the Jimenez deal, I believe it's something soft where Real Madrid can basically buy him back for 20 million.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like, I mean, and dare I say, if that's even true at all, because remember we were given a kind of a line about Brahim Diaz that, oh well, we could just convert him, we could basically purchase him for like 16 million, and then we figured out, oh actually no, wait, that's not true at all. So like,
Not only that, does he even want to stay? This is the question. Well, it seems that Ancelotti gave him a call, and Ancelotti says that, yeah, I'll play you in games, and of course he has to earn his spot. But look at what's happening now. He's earning his spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like you said, though, it's becoming a feeder for. I know Real Madrid are a huge club, like, but don't like it.
I don't.
But
I
on
don't
that
know.
point,
Brahim.
and I just thought about this. So before this, some were actually pitting the blame on Maldini and Massara for having these, you could say, one-sided loan deals that favors Real Madrid or Manchester United in the case of Dalot. Now the fact that we're doing something similar, where there is no Maldini, there is no Massara, do you think this idea actually the responsibility / or in brackets blame lies on someone else?
Listen, man. Listen. The way the club is running at the moment, Hasni and Shane, is that we're just bringing in players as cheap a price as possible. Okay, so we're just spotting talented players and bringing them in as cheap as we can. That's basically. It doesn't matter which way around, who we're helping out, no matter what. We're just taking them in. It's just a reality. And I was saying, Shane, before you joined, I said to Hasni, this is a temporary stage in the evolution of the next phase of Milan. So we just have to just move on with it and cope with it as best we can. My mind, guys, I thought that Diaz simply Serie A is defensively too physical for him. That's really what I felt. And I felt that he would be a much, much better fit in Spain, where those type of players do really thrive. And I'm thinking of Barcelona style, football. They're just much more. You get more space. Smaller guys can do their magic, and he's doing it. And really good luck to him. But for us, he could shut out of game after game after game, and we can blame Pioli as much as we want. And true, Ancelotti's way better manager. Also, I give you that too. But Diogo Dalot as well is another one. He was a left back, right back. He was perfect to be able to, be a sub for either flank. And then he started to do well. And of course, Man United wanted him, but they're not doing well themselves, are they? So I just kind of say we're taking who we can at the moment for the cheapest price we can. It's just the reality of survival under this financial strain that we have. We just got to get through it. We've got to get through to the summer.
I believe, though, with the Dalot situation, I may be incorrect here, but if I recall, I think when it was coming time that he could potentially have been purchased, I think the player himself decided to go back to Man United.
Wow, if that's the case, then that's incredible.
Yeah.
If he sees Manchester United as a bigger club than AC Milan, fine, maybe from a financial perspective, but trophy-wise, he needs to look a bit harder.
Yeah.
Spend more time in the Milan Museum.
I mean, they just.
But I remember that was definitely the situation, because I found that quite surprising as well.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Because at that point, it's like, United aren't setting the world on fire, so you're going back to a club so you can play Europa League, if in fact you play at all, which he wasn't at that point. So,
that's
it's a very strange
weird
decision.
one. Maybe he likes the weather in Manchester more. Weird decision, man. Because I think Man United, as you said, Husney, financially, have they not just had a cash injection of 1.2 billion, and for no, and the guys like, I don't want my money back. I just want you to succeed. They are.
No, it's a good job he doesn't want it back, because he'll never get it back.
He'll never get it back. He'll never get it.
The club doesn't know what's going on.
No.
You could put 5 billion into that club. They're the complete polar opposite of Man City. In that as much as I don't like the fact that a team that was historically irrelevant, pretty much, has just come out of nowhere, but because they have such a great project, you can't say that the money was misspent.
Mm.
In United, you have just as much money that was spent, by the way, but like there's literally nothing to show for it. Like it's pathetic, is what it is. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's such a shame because
Yeah.
it's a historically a great club.
Yeah.
But
I put it all down to Ferguson. After Ferguson left, that whole ethos left the club. Basically, they were unable to replace him. Just unable. Anyway, we're not Man United fans here. Hasni, what do you want to move on to? Do you want to do the player focus, or do you want to do Pioli Corner first?
If you can do the player focus first, because I think that provides a different spin in terms of the lopsided, because the next player their focus is actually sticking one back to Real Madrid. Because this is a player that Maldini met in, I don't know if I've pronounced this correctly, Ibiza, and managed to get him over the line, signed, who is turned into an amazing world-class player for us, and that is Theo Hernandez. So on the screen, as I've shown here, and this is his FIFA card, so he's quite highly rated. Theo Hernandez for us, 18 appearances this season, 3 goals and 6 assists, some coming in the Champions League. So with, however, on the downside, he's accumulated 7 yellow cards, so he has a bit of that disciplinary issue. His contract is until 2026, but yeah, just coming back to what we said about Real Madrid, we managed to snatch him away from Real Madrid essentially, because he's barely getting any play time. But due to some good scouting, some good negotiation, we managed to get Real Madrid to sell him to us for 22.8 million euros. I think he's easily worth 3 or 4 times that. And I guess just to top it all off this season, he's been our starting centre back in quite a number of games. So talk about the versatility there. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, is this one where we managed to stick it on Real Madrid after what they've done to us?
Or do you want to take it first, Shane? Me. All right. 22.8 million euros. Brilliant acquisition. He is, I think, considered one of the best attacking left backs in the world. I don't care that he's been used as a centre back this season, hasn't he? He doesn't belong there. Okay, get him out of there right now. Proper manager would stick him on left back position, where he can combine with a left winger and cause absolute destruction and demolition. He is a wonderful player. He has a temper. He gets a lot of yellow cards, but that's just frustration that's attached to him. But I wouldn't want to, lower his game and his fire, temper his fire, if it affected his game in any way whatsoever. I really like the guy. I think he's probably one of our most valuable players, and I think moving forward, we should do everything we can to try and keep him. There's been a lot of talk that if we don't get investment in the summer, he would be one of the potential players that's on the chopping block for raising a lot of money. But I hope that doesn't happen, because I'd love the club to move forward and Theo to be reunited with Maldini when he comes back. That's a dream that I have on that. Shane, go ahead.
yeah, I've made it known. I say this is a complete hetero male, but I've such a bro crush on Theo. It's unnatural. I love the guy because he's a complete scumbag, and I understand why every other like fan base in Serie A absolutely detests him, and I love it because he just stirs it. He just stirs it, man. He's just acting like a scumbag in some games. The only problem I don't like with Theo, though, is the unnecessary theatrics. Right, that's my big problem with him. I think, yeah, go down for a foul, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But like, I mean, geez, you'd swear he's gotten his leg broken like every tackle, right? But other than that, I mean, great, as you said, John, great acquisition. I mean, we completely pulled the rug over Real Madrid's eyes, which that's probably why they're so strict now when it comes to doing loan deals with us, because they're like, well, you already screwed us over once, so you're not going to do it again. But amazing player, world class on his day. Again, such a waste that he's playing in centre back. it's such a waste of his talent. He can't excel in doing what he's good at, which is just like him and Leao when they were linking up, especially last season. It was just amazing to watch, and we just, for a lot of reasons, it's been, it hasn't happened as much this year. But like to say consistently, Theo is going on these marauding runs and just he's looking dangerous when he does, when he, I guess when he's either playing in the left back position, it's more easier. But I mean, just world class. I mean, yeah, love this guy. Love this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. Yeah, I love him too. I love him too. But he's a scumbag sometimes. But that's partly why I like him.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's about Theo, and we're going to move on to our next segment, and that is the lead up to our. We're going to speak about our main topic, which is the game. However, before that, John, what's new in the Pioli Corner?
Yes.
Pull that graphic in.
Have you got the graphic? There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's do that again every week. Keep watching this. Okay, so, oh, excellent, Paul. Tutto a posto, bene, bene, va bene. All right, let's go with the pregame. So one of the things that surprised me this week, guys, I thought that we would be light on Pioli Corner because we covered the Udinese game. There was a week break in between, and I thought there wasn't going to be a lot of interesting stuff, right? Actually, he really opened up in these interviews. And so I'm just going to read out to you some of the interesting questions, and we'll have a good discussion, I think, afterwards. If you could have some characteristics like Yannick Sinner, what would you say that your squad has? And Pioli says, I watched the Yannick Sinner versus Novak Djokovic game in the Australian Open. I go to bed early and get up early. Now, by the way, Italian time, I think the Yannick Sinner game was like either at 2:30 or 4:30 in the morning. So he really gets up early, Pioli. He said, Yannick did something incredible in beating the world number one in the way he did, in a Grand Slam, with his strength, with his mentality, with his power. There is a lot of talent and hard work to harness that talent. In my years at Milan, I have shown that we can work at the right intensity to perform at the highest level. In that sense, we're similar to Yannick. Of course, Yannick is now top of the world, and we are working to try to reach that. Okay. From the outside, it feels like the winds have changed at Milanello in the favor of Milan and Pioli. Is this something that has only been seen from the outside, or is this something that you can feel, Mr. Pioli? He says, the squad is in a good moment. We are good mentally because victories have come. Of course, wins bring that. Our future is our game tomorrow, which is obviously tonight. We don't think of anything else. We know how important it is to do well in the return legs of this championship. How important it is to keep going in Serie A. Tomorrow we have a tough opponent that plays excellent football, so we will have to concentrate to get the right result. Now, guys, last week, remember, we covered Leao. That was our player in focus last week. We had quite a lengthy discussion, and there's been a lot of discussion about him in the Italian media, even in our chats, right? So here's a question. One of your big players who is a champion but has forgotten how to be a champion is Leao. What do you have to say about this, Mr. Pioli? He said, I disagree with these stories and with that summary. We have scored a lot more goals than last year. We are the second best attack in the league. And in those numbers, Rafa is present very much. He is part of our offensive solutions. He is always a point of reference for us, and he always keeps the opponents busy. He is trying new solutions. He's providing great balls. One of the players in Serie A with the biggest number of assists. Therefore, I am super happy with him. In fact, I love Rafa, even in the way he is. He is an artist, and artists are geniuses, and he is a genius. And he listens, which is also important. So he basically shuts down and says, enough complaining about Leao. I want to just put my arms around him and say, let's just move forward and move on. Okay, So Pioli is asked about what we've learned about the racist incident. And he says, in my opinion, Udinese Football Club and the city have been impeccable in their response. Just want to give a pause there. I am pleased with the response of our club and others who have confirmed that this behavior has no place in society. The next question, how is Mike at this difficult time? His answer, serene, strong, grateful that he has received so much support from everyone. Next question. Milan has conceded the most goals out of the top 7 teams. What is the improvement you want to see? We have to continue playing our style. And this is really interesting because Pioli then goes into describing the style of football that he wants to see us play. This year, I want the club to defend by controlling the game more, to move the ball, not force the play so much, because we always look for the winning ball, even when the solution is not there or there is no space to look for that pass. We have never been a very solid squad without the ball, but we can be with the ball. This is very important. Allegri has said that you are in the discussion for Serie A. Pioli answers, no, we are not in the discussion in this moment in time. We are just trying to get results right now. We will take it one game at a time. The next question is really interesting because he's asked one thing, but he reveals something that's quite big. And I'm not sure if much of the fan base has heard this. So the question was, what is Ruben Loftus-Cheek's best position in your opinion? Is it cam or mezzala? He says, Pioli says, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going through an unfortunate situation, a difficult situation. He cannot train so much in between matches because his groin strain is still giving him trouble. I think we should not talk so much about positions. He is just an aggressive, attacking player. Please remember this point. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is still having his groin strain problem. Pellegatti then comes in and questions. He asked the last question, which is an interesting one. Gattuso has come out to the press and said that in his time at Milan, players asked to spend extra time in training to practice things like set pieces, free kicks, to become specialists in particular additional skills. And Pioli's response is, I think Ringhio played at an unfortunate time. At times, I tell the players to stop from extra training when the schedule is too busy, and I do this to prevent injuries. But we work using our own systems, which focus very hard on those individual situations. So what do you take on those comments? Let's start with you, Husney.
Yeah, I want to just talk about that thing what he revealed about injury. So I'm looking now at Ruben Loftus-Cheek's injury record. And I'm going to read it out to everyone, in case that you're listening. So Ruben Loftus-Cheek's injury history has mostly come from calf injury. Okay, other than coronavirus, which you could say is not really pitch related. There have been unknowns, there have been knocks, Achilles tendon rupture, a lot of back injuries, foot injury, hamstring strain, and guess what? The groin problem, last time it's recorded, according to Transfer Market, is in the 2017-2018 season where he had groin problems. Now it's been listed here as he has adductor problems. So if you ask me, between 2017 until now, which is what, a good 7 years, how can this injury have resurfaced? Yeah, I'm not a doctor. I don't understand, but I do see that Ruben Loftus-Cheek's game is that he's very physical. He keeps the ball. A lot of players, they try to take him down, and it's a good thing that he managed to stay up. But the one thing that is very important to our squad is that I really would like to congratulate him is that his positioning in terms of the attacking play, he's able to be in that space. So when there's a cutback, there's no one surrounding him in order to take the ball, or he just has a simple, you could say, passing to the goal. Pioli has a history in himself of putting players that he knows aren't at 100% level, but he plays them anyway. We got the recent example of Pierre Kalulu doing the same thing. And sorry, excuse me. And Pierre Kalulu has been out for quite a while. So if he's not careful, Ruben Loftus-Cheek will go the same way. We might lose him for the rest of the season. Something that I don't want to see, because I really appreciate the qualities that Ruben Loftus-Cheek brings to this team. If you ask me, he's the offensive Cassie. Cassie is very much covering the left side of our midfield whenever the attack and Theo was pushing up and linking up with Liao or Rebic during those days, in order to be the attacking threat. And Cassie was on blocking. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think, is very similar in terms of very tall, very solid, difficult to get the ball off him, but he's just pushing forward. So I think that's quite important. Oh, and we have a guest, and for those who, we have a special guest that just joined us. We have Nathan. Hello, Nathan.
What's going on, guys? Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. We were just speaking about Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Pioli's comments, but you're welcome to chip in anytime. I was just speaking about how important Ruben Loftus-Cheek is to the game. There's one thing that Pioli mentioned in his post-match conference, and then especially about this extra training that Gattuso. I would like to say is that I don't know if it's worth talking about how different teams and how different management regime, because keep in mind that Gattuso has his own style as well. So if he's staying back, then I think it's something that Pioli sees it differently. So I'm not going to give him too much slack for that. I mean, maybe at that point, just to allow Nathan some time. What do you think about Ruben Loftus-Cheek being included in this lineup against Bologna if he's in our starting lineup, Nathan?
To be honest, we actually do need him in the lineup because he's the only person who can dribble the ball forward and not get kind of bounced around in the midfield. Adley and Reindeers are kind of, they're physically weak. So Loftus-Cheek is needed to actually drive the ball forward in a powerful way. So it is what it is. And he's the only one that we have like that. So, I mean, we got to include him in the lineup.
Shane?
All right. Yeah, Shane.
Yep. Hi Nathan, how's it going? So just a quick one, on the Loftus-Cheek situation. So there's a reason why we're getting a player in the prime of his career for 22 million. I believe that's what it was. So the situation with Loftus-Cheek is that he was always very injury prone. The very concerning thing though was he was out for a huge amount of time with obviously very similar, if not the same issues that he's trying to recover from now, and we're trying to run him into the ground. I think the problem is though at present is that Nathan was also correct. We don't really have another replacement for him. In that we don't have someone that's that big physically. I mean, you could probably argue that Rangers could try eventually and try and fill that role, but he's just not there, yet. And I guess, at his age, what is he now, 26? If he hasn't filled out by now, he's never going to fill out. So, that's that off the table. In just I guess another good point though on what Pioli had said. I think it's a relevant point where Pioli saying that he wants us to be kind of more tactical in the defensive phase, right? And to be able to hold the ball that more, just hold the ball more, right? But the thing is you're doing that with a back line of players that are not even starting quality players, right? Ideally, that solution should be there when you have, Tomori and Chow, or Tomori and, pick another player, right? I don't know. But when you have Kier and Gabia, is now really the time to be holding into the defensive phase? I don't know. Should we trust these players really with that kind of mentality? That being said, though, most of it was kind of waxing lyrical. It wasn't the most dangerous press conference I've heard from Pioli. I do like the fact that Italy are kind of getting a hard on now for a guy whose second name is Sinner, especially discussing all the racism episode last week. It seems that the Italians are happy to latch on even when a guy with a Franco-Germanic name who isn't, I'm assuming, Italian at some point in his heritage is putting them on the map. So I like that double standard. But yeah, besides that, yeah.
Oh, Shane, I love it. Calling out for what it is, man. Good
Mhm.
one. Good man for that. Personally, I think the Loftus-Cheek, the news that he can't train in between matches or has to train very lightly because of his groin strain is worrying. He's basically the lineup tonight. He's starting. So we are starting a player that we know has an issue, and Pioli openly says this is something that we have to just go with. And the way we've managed to keep playing him is just let him be very light in training and play full, as close to 90 minutes as possible. So that's the other thing. The other question that came up, and I didn't mention, there was one about Gabbia, and they said whether his time in Spain has improved him. And he just said basically he has just matured as a human being. Not really a good answer. That's why I didn't really mention it. But he didn't say that technically he had improved as such. But that's it. That's is the biggest, the most concerning thing was two things. One saying that I want to base my game on basically on possession, and we want to defend by keeping the ball more. I don't think this squad is built to do that. I think this squad is built to attack. It's not really got people that keep the ball. Maybe when Benacer comes in, he might be more of an orchestrator. But even that, I'm not sure that the team is built because Loftus-Cheek, Reindeer, they just want to go forward. They just want to go forward, and Pulisic as well. If you look at one of the discussions I had with Nico was, we think back of the generation where we were very fortunate when we had Pirlo, Seedorf, Kaká. You could give the ball to any of them, and they could attack you in any which way that an opponent required. And you add to that mixture Gattuso or Ambrosini, and you also had that steal in the team. That's spoilt. When we look at the squad now, you can't really even try and match anything to that level. But it is what it is. We move forward. Loftus-Cheek, now we know Loftus-Cheek has got this slight injury issue. So do you want to move, guys, to the Bologna focus so that we can have a look at the game? I am going to share
Just a quick one while we're doing that. So a comment from Paul. I guess he might know you, Nathan. He said,
Oh,
ask
God.
Nathan if
Are you
Gabby
best
is
friends or
a
something?
top 10 centre back in the league. All right. It was imperative he wanted me to
Okay.
ask you that.
So there are a few people who are upset because I believe Gabbia is better than Chow, and I maintain that that Gabbia is better, and he won't let me live this down. But Gabbia at the moment is, I mean, you can't call him out on anything. His defending is good. His
He's
positioning
definitely
is
better
good.
than Chow at the moment.
Yeah, and
That's a good one.
Chow's in the operating theater, so you're not wrong there.
and I mean, all of our major goals have, Tamori and Chow have been pretty. I won't say maybe as much Tamori, but Chow has been very sloppy in terms of defending this year. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I still believe in Gabia.
Well, I mean, my opinion is Gabbia let's just watch. That's what I'm going to say. Let's just watch. Just give him a
Right.
few more games. Let's see how he performs, right? Before we judge so much. I wouldn't actually, Nathan. I wouldn't compare yet. I think Chow has got a much bigger pool of matches, right? That we've seen him, and we've seen him against some very difficult opponents. Let's see how Gabbia performs against a more varied attacking lineup against him. And I'll tell you, he will have a lot of playing time from what I can see, because just listening to Pellegatti, there was a discussion about how many matches Milan might have. before the likes of Chow, Tomori, and Kalulu comes back. And in his opinion, it was something like at least 10 games. So let's just wait and see, because he's gonna get rolled out a lot. And there's a lot of people that want to have a discussion about Gabbia or Kier, or Gabbia, Kier, or Simic.
Well,
This is the
Simic
other
should be
discussion.
playing. Yeah, Simic should be
Yeah.
playing over Kier for sure. Kiar's not even going to be here next year. This is the time to let
Yeah, he's
Simic play,
officially
who hasn't
gone,
put a
isn't
foot
he?
wrong.
Next year.
Yeah,
I remember reading that. Yeah, Kier is out the door.
Yeah, we're wasting Simic's progression right now for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, can you see the lineups on the screen?
Is this
Yeah.
the lineup
Yeah.
of the Bologna game?
Yeah, this is the lineup for the Bologna game. This is not the official lineup, but Shane, the Italian press has been presenting the exact same lineup for the last 3 days. So they expect Pioli to go with exactly the same squad that he played in the last game, that he started in the last game. So that would be, for those listening on the podcast, in goal, Magnan, left back, Theo Hernandez. Then we've got Gabbia and Kier. On right back, we've got Calabria. In midfield, we'll have, it's supposed to actually be Adli and Reindeers, and then in front of him, Leao, Loftus-Cheek, and Pulisic, and the sole striker up front is Giroud. The formation is basically matched by Bologna, where they have Skorupski. Is it De Silva? I don't really know who the 29th is. I'm just trying to see. The big players that are the danger man are supposed to be Xerxes, Ferguson, or Cellini. And by the way, just wanted to point out, do you see where Salamakers is positioned? Left wing.
That's it.
That's an interesting starting position for Salamakers. So
this is where we find out he's Messi reborn.
He's done it a few times at Milan. We played him on the left side of a few games before, and he did pretty well, I thought.
I'm curious to see how he does. Pioli
did
was
we
asked
do that
about
for one of the Inter games.
Did
in
he?
the Champions League? Am I crazy?
No, it was the Europa League. The Europa League qualifiers against, what was that team that we played in Ireland? Was it?
Oh Jesus!
And he actually started on the left wing, and he scored the goal. But we had to take it to penalties. If you guys remember that game,
playing against like painter decorators and amateur footballers. Way to go!
I'm not going to go there. So the big question here was asked to Pioli about Xerxes, and said, "What do you think is the most dangerous thing about Bologna?" And Pioli said it's the way that Xerxes. So he said, first of all, he's been watching Xerxes from his time at Bayern and Parma. It's a player that Milan as a club has been keeping an eye on for a long time. And the thing that they've got with what he says is really dangerous about Xerxes, that he can stay in that position, but also drift back out of the striker position and drop back into midfield, and then the wingers that play for Bologna can really get involved in the game. So he says we'll have to be really careful with the style of football that they play. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you all, and Nathan, you might be interested in this, is the recent form for Milan. So this is a different website, and it's got probable lineups for Milan and Bologna. It matches exactly what I showed you on the graphic. So we, this is the, what is this? So we're actually on a run. This is all competition. I think the best way to show it to you is this graphic here. So in Serie A form-wise, we're on 4 straight wins. And in the press, it was reported that if we win tonight, it'll be 5 straight wins, which would be the first time for Pioli, which I didn't know that was the case. What you saw in the graphic earlier is from all competitions, which basically the losses from the Coppa d'Italia, right? Bologna not in good form. They're coming off 2 losses and a draw in the last 3 games. And in all competitions, actually, they haven't won in the last 4 games at all. So if we look at the league table, we see some of the points that were raised in Pioli's interview. We are one of the biggest goal scorers. Indeed, we got 41 goals from our 21 games. But we've also got 23 goals against, which is indeed, as the reporter indicated, the highest goals conceded out of the top 7 clubs in Italy, which is not great. Remembering, guys, Bologna at one point had made top 4, but they are not hugely far off, actually, from top 4. They have a game in hand on Atalanta, and they're on 32 points. So I'll stop sharing there. And Nathan, since you're here, where are you? Just go bring your display up. I can give you a bit of information on betting odds, which I thought you might be interested in, right?
I've been pretty spot on with some of my calls lately.
Right. So I'd say both teams to score tonight, Nathan, since you're the both teams to score guy. You've mentioned this several times. It's 2-1, so double your money. Would you cover that?
I think with the way our defense has been lately in the downward slope of Bologna, I'm not so sure about both teams to score this time. I can see a 2-0 game, to be honest.
So
if I were to make a bet, I would go with under 2.5.
Under 2.5 goals. Goals under 2.5 is actually, the bookmakers seem to agree with you. It's very low odds, very low. So they think the same. They think the Bologna will not score. Yeah. So for first goal scorer, who would you name? So Shane, who would you reckon is going to score today? And I can give you the odds on that.
We're losing this game because Salad is going to just come out like, I don't know, Maradona reborn and show everyone what a great player he is once every season.
If we're losing this game, Shane, predict the scoreline.
2-1.
Consider a draw as a loss at this point.
Yeah, true. No, do you know what? I'm gonna go worse, right? I'm gonna say 2-1, and I'm gonna say Salad, and I'm gonna say Xerxes, and then everyone's gonna go, we should buy Xerxes, and it's like, yeah, even more people are gonna say it, and then we're gonna go, all right, yeah, fair enough. I bet you, man.
2-1
and for
Bologna.
us, Pulisic. There we go.
Oh, Pulisic, I like that. Let me have a look at Pulisic. Pulisic, first goal scorer, 7.5-1. Your predicted 2-1 scoreline to Bologna is 15-1. Decent. I'm going to try what Nathan said, which is 2-0. Nathan, 2-0 is 7.5-1.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
That's what you're feeling. And actually, Milan 1-0 is 6-1. So that's the most likely result according to the bookmakers. 1-0 Milan.
Can you imagine the heartburn though? Imagine if it ends 1-0 and we score after like 10 minutes. Jesus Christ! Like watch that.
Yeah, right, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be pretty horrible. So the favorite first goal scorer, you won't be surprised, is Giroud. 5.5-1. Anytime 2.8-1, 2.9-1. And for Bologna, who would you reckon is the favorite for a first goal scorer? This is an interesting one. I think if you guess it, well done to you.
Oh, is it Salad?
No. But decent guess. Nathan, have a guess?
And you said the first person?
First, for Bologna.
I mean, it's got to be Xerxes.
No. Hasni, you have a guess. I'll give you a guess. First goal scorer for Bologna. Who's the most favorite?
To be honest, I don't even know the players, but let me pick up a random.
Go on. You probably have a better chance than these two.
I'm gonna put it to. I don't know.
I back Paul's. I back Paul's guess.
I don't know if Orsolini's playing. I see him inside. I'm just googling.
Bang! Look at this. The non-gambler gets it.
Hold on. Isn't he the guy that always scores against us for some reason?
Orsolini is the favourite to score from the Bologna squad.
I can see why.
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna, since this is the first time we've ever had this, I've ever had you on, Nathan. 2-0 Milan. I have it live on my second screen. I am placing the bet right now, live.
Oh,
Right?
the pressure.
The pressure, the
First
pressure.
first 30 seconds, we're going to get scored on, and my prediction's out the window.
And now, because Shane guessed 2-1, 15-1, I'm placing that bet on as well.
Oh my days. Okay, I feel partially responsible now.
Yeah. On the first goal scorer, I am. Don't worry, guys. It's free bets that I generated. Don't worry. It's no skin off my. If it wins, great. You guys have done me a favor. I'm not sharing the money with you.
We've had the discussion about the match betting before, but Nathan, since we have you in the stream, is it any difference to how it's done maybe in the States where you are compared to how betting, as John explained in the previous pods?
I mean, it's pretty much everything is the same. Instead of really looking at the odds, depending on what site you use, they pretty much just give you what money it's worth. So Shane, you said Bologna 2-1, so that would be probably around a plus. I'd say like a plus 200, plus 250 or something like that. So if you were to put like $100 down, you would probably come out with like 300 or something like that. Um, so it just depends on what site you're using. But it's pretty much all the same thing.
See,
Parlays, money
Nathan,
lines, all that
if I
stuff.
do a comparison, you've just said plus 200. So I'm not familiar with the way you're describing the numbers, actually. But if Shane, if you were to place £100 on Bologna to beat Milan 2-1, you would make 1,500.
Oh,
Jesus.
then it's probably way more than plus 250 then.
Mm.
That's a lot more than that. I was just trying to think of like since Milan is the favorite on the website I would probably use, we would probably be placed at like minus 120 or minus 140. So you would have to put
So I
in
wonder, do you guys know? So okay, so maybe then in the States they don't round up to like 1.5 to 1 or something like that. No. I wonder, is that the main difference between the way that the odds work? You're talking to I don't gamble, but like I'm wondering, is that the thing? Whereas in the UK they kind of go like, oh, 2-1, but it's not necessarily 2. It could be like 2.05 to 1 or something like
So
that.
we have fractional or decimal. There's just the two ways in the UK that we do it, Shane. And for match betting purposes, because the way the calculator works, you turn everything to decimal, which makes it actually a lot simpler for non-gamblers to understand. Because you're like 8 to 15, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? What's 8 to 15? So it's much easier to just tell you, 0 point whatever to 1. So, but in this case, Milan is by far the heavy favorite to win the game tonight. So
And that's why we're not winning it.
Yeah, Nathan, I'll give you an example so you can compare it. Well, don't say that, Shay. Come on. So Milan is 1.8 to 1. So if I put £100, I would get back £80 on top.
okay.
That's how
And
it's
then
worked out. It's really simple.
okay. So for over here then that would be in order for you to actually break even, or for you to, if you put in $100, in order for you to get that $100, that 100, you would have to actually put in more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's because is
So
it
how you
taxed in
said you put
America?
100, like how you said you put £100, you'll win
Yes.
80. But in order for you to win the same amount of money that you actually want to get, so let's say if you want to win £100, you'd have to put in more to actually reach that 100.
Yes.
Compared
Yes, you
to
would.
so if everything was like break even, you would just have to put that even amount in there in order to get what you put in.
Okay. So here, Nathan, if it's 1.8, you put 100, you get your 100 back when you win, plus the 80 on top. So you
Right.
get back 180. There's no taxation. So I don't know about if the American system has taxation built into it, or whether you just say that at the end of the year.
Oh no. So whatever you win, so if I were to put in $100, I would probably also win about 80. So I'd come away with 180 as well. That's why I said it's all
Okay.
the same thing. It's just the way the format that it's set up.
Okay. So those are the bets. I think I wanted to put some first goal scorers as well. Leao has not scored in many, many months in Serie A. You know this, right, guys?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering whether I should.
Significant downgrade from him this year.
Oh, that was Nathan. That was part of the. I don't know if you didn't hear the first part of the podcast. It was part of the Pioli interview. So he was asked about it, and he said, when you look at the numbers and you look at the big number of goals that we've scored this season, we're the second highest goal scorers in the league. In Pioli's opinion, this is Pioli's opinion, Leao's input in the match, in the fact that we are scoring so many more, is hidden in those numbers. It's just not obvious like last season where he was the focus of our attack, because now it's more spread out. So Pioli basically said, I want to stop all talk of his performance being worse than previous seasons, because we've scored over 40 goals this season. So they're coming from other parts of the pitch, and he's contributing to that. You guys would call it hockey assists, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
In the US.
See, I'm not a big like, while stats are important.
Yeah.
Like I played, like I didn't get to play professional, but I played since I was 5, and I played Division 1 and all that stuff. So for me, when I look at a game, stats come secondary to how a person actually plays. And for me, from a playing aspect, Liao is just 100% not focused on his craft at all. He's too focused with media. He's too focused with wearing dresses to photo shoots and crap like that. He's just not serious. Like, for me, he should be at Mbappe and Holland. Like, he has the athleticism and the technique and abilities to be there, but mentally, he's never gonna be that person. So for me, couple that with his poor numbers. I mean, he chose the number 10. He wanted the big contract, and he's not delivering on what that should mean for the team. So I don't give anyone an easy pass, and Leao's not going to be excluded from that for me.
Fair enough. That's you just reminded me something there, Nathan. Someone last week made a comment on our video. Last week we had Leao in focus, right? That was our player in focus. And part of the reason was because the Italian media was really focusing hard on him as well, and actually giving him a really hard time. And they were saying similar things to what you said, Nathan. And there was someone called Eric McDonald, 2749, who made a comment on one of on the video, a really long comment. And, he made a good point again about the fact that he doesn't seem to be fully with it this season or this year. I wonder if Leao is one of those players that does pay attention to the criticism and it affects him. I do wonder, because he's much more, how can I put it, visible on social media than
John,
a lot of other players.
That's a good point. I think he is. And I think I remember a lot of us criticizing CDK for the same thing. And CDK wasn't immune to it, and I don't think Leao should be either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Leao is not immune to it. Exactly, Shane. Sorry, that's the exact word. He's not immune to the criticism. And one of the things, that I have is a extended family from Portugal, and I've always asked them. I've said to them, "Oh, there's this kid called Leao. He's amazing. The seasons that he was absolutely on fire, right? And I would say to them, when he plays for your national team, what do you think of him? He's amazing. You know what they've come back with is they've spoiled because they've had Ronaldo, right? And as a winger and as a striker. And they don't think that, in their opinion, that Leao has that flexibility to be able to play multiple roles up the top. So as a sole striker, because he has all the physical attributes to be able to do it, right? But he doesn't seem to have the ability or the footballing
The
nous
drive.
to
He
get
doesn't-
himself into
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
those positions. And I always found it interesting that Portuguese fans, they are sitting on a talent of his level. Okay, their squad is very talented in midfield, but they're sitting on talent at that level, and they don't think that he is very, very special from what they see on the international scene. And I always thought, is this something that we do as a club, that because we don't have that many superstars in our squad, we don't have a Ronaldo that can also come on. We don't have a I don't know, Silva that can Bruno Silva that is in the midfield. I wonder if that is why he has so much more focus and so much ability to express himself, as opposed to the national team, where even his own countrymen don't think that he is that special. And I've never thought anything of that comment until this season, when his apparent application in some games went down a little bit. And now I kind of wonder whether that is what they're talking about, in that they're used to seeing players that every time you need to run for a ball, they'll blast for the ball. They'll go for it. If there's a goal chance, they won't do anything stupid. They'll put that goal away. They won't try a trick. They won't try and score a beautiful goal every single time. So maybe they've got something to it. And how old is Leao? Do you guys...
He's
23,
23
24.
or 24.
Yeah, 24, I think. Yeah, based on the player focus. But yeah, if I can just add my opinion about Leao, is that if you ask me honestly, I don't think we would want Leao to be a mega superstar. The reason being is that two things. One, we probably couldn't.
We couldn't
if he
afford
was-
him.
If he was that good, forget about the renewal last season. He's leaving for free. Second thing, if he's that good, he's probably gonna get his legs broken by a defender. So I need him to be threatening enough to take the pressure or the heat away from the other aspects of the pitch. This is what I need Leao. I need him to be a distraction more than I need him to be, okay, he passes to Leao and he's going to dribble like 4 or 5 people and he's going to score.
Hasn't he?
Because he does
That's
that-
what Pioli said. That's exactly what Pioli said.
He's the distraction now that takes focus away from guys like Pulisic, who can operate more freely. You do have to have two people around Leao just because of what he can do in terms of athleticism. So it frees up, someone in the middle. Someone just needs to make a run or a through ball or give and go, and they're in by themselves.
Yeah, and I don't think everyone in the team should be, and I'm going to say it, not everyone needs to be like Krunic, who can play 4 or 5 positions, by the way. Yeah? If he's good as left wing, leave him as left
Here he
wing.
comes again.
Because we've tried Leao, left wing.
I
we've tried
like
him as
it that
Cam,
you're only
we've
admitting
tried
it
him-
after he's left the club, hasn't he?
No, because I think a lot of fans are still stuck in this mindset that we're going to have Krunic everywhere. No, we don't. If he's good as left wing, fine then. I don't need him to be good left wing. Then let's try him as center forward.
No.
And he sucks and going to move him around and he's going to be like
It's what
some
the
musical
fans
chairs
need,
happening on the
Hosni.
pitch.
But if we're going to be fair, though, if Leao's asking for big money, he needs to do more. Like, just today, watch his body language, especially when he loses the ball. Like, is there that fight to like, okay, let me at least, track back and apply a little bit of pressure? Or does he just sit on the ground, throw his hands up, kind of mosey on back and see what happens?
Guys, I've put a bet on Leao to score just now.
That's it.
Because you guys just jinxed him, so he's 100% going to score. Thank you very much, Nathan. Thank you.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, keep in mind, I think Leao is very much kind of one of those players. He's done this in the past as well. He looks like he's mentally checked out, but then as soon as he gets a goal, he's kind of, he's at it, right? And he just plays completely differently. The thing is, though, is that just going back to what Hosni said, I think for someone to be truly world class, they have to show something in every game, right? So if we're paying Leao, if Leao's like our highest earner, and if
Yeah.
we have a player that, tends to just drift out of games when he doesn't score, that, it's not world class and he shouldn't be. Now, I'm not going to say he should be sold, but there's better ways of spending that salary cap. Keep in mind as well that, Teo's going to be coming up for renewal soon. It's going to be Maignan as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not
and
fair
those
to the
guys
rest of the
show up
squad.
more than. No, and it's not. No, it's not. But it's also not fair that Florenzi is on that money either. Because Jesus, I mean, look, he's better than Calabria, but like,
That's not saying much. It's better than Calabria. I think
that's
all
true.
four of us are better than Calabria if we were to give him the chance, right?
That's true.
Man.
That's true.
And I love Calabria. I actually have no problem with this guy as the right back. Maybe not captain material, but I actually like Calabria. I like him a lot and what he provides.
I like him as a backup. As a player, it's not that he's horrifically bad, right? But I don't see him. So if I see Milan as okay, so if I want to see Milan as a team that should be looking to win the Champions League, right? In any universe, in any possible eventuality, I never see Calabria as part of that squad. I
Shane,
just don't think he has that level.
What is this thing you talk about Champions League? Because we're not in it anymore.
Oh, I know. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I forgot.
That's the level that we're at now. Thanks to
I
Calabria.
forgot.
Thanks
We
in part
should be
to
happy
Calabria.
with
second
Europa
rate
League
now.
now. Yeah, I know. And the Europa League is somehow
Manchester
a badge of honor
is
now.
the new Milan.
That's it. And we're going to just get dumped out by Liverpool in the end anyway, because this is the way it's going to go.
Stop it. Be positive. Come on.
Or
let's be positive, guys.
Leverkusen.
True.
Or carrier bag.
Carrier bag. Yeah, at least that'd be funny. Or we could be playing with what is it, young boys at the Wankdorf Arena. That's a thing.
Because you guys know that we'll be.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you guys know that we'll be grouped with Fenerbahce and our $200 million ex midfielder.
If he knocked us out of the Europa, Hosni, in a way.
Good point. Where is Fenerbahce actually? Are they in any European competition?
I don't know. No, I don't know. Fuck it.
I think they're going to win their league, though.
Sorry, John. I was seeing your thing. Yeah, I think okay, guys. I think we're going to have to wrap up shortly. Anyway,
an hour and a half today. It's a long one. Nathan, thank you for coming. Honestly. Now let's see if any of your tips, you, Shane, Hosni, if any of your tips work out for me. Next time I'll be holding a virtual pint. All right, in your honor.
That's it.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, we should have done this 3 weeks ago when my predictions came true. It's not going to happen now.
No, that's it. That's it.
Those 3 weeks ago, I did place those bets, so I'm fine. I'm fine. All right.
Okay, well, if I could just wrap this up. Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks especially Nathan for our special guest for this week's episode.
Thanks for the
Thanks
invite,
to
guys.
Christian. Been in chat. Paul. Thanks all, and also for those who are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please give us a subscribe, a like. We appreciate very much, and also on this YouTube. But Forza Milan, as always, guys. Catch you until next week.
Forza Milan. Ciao a tutti.
Italia!